Hi, Monica.
Hello.
How are you? Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Happy New Year to all of you. Monica, we extend our sincere condolences to you, and I thank you very much for being here. I'm sure this is not an easy time to be coming back to work. So we really appreciate you in so many ways. Um, Monica will officially note the roll call. And may I please have a request for the approval of minutes or corrections if anybody thinks there needs to be any minute corrections.
I move that be accepted.
Ray moves that they be accepted. May we have a second on that, please?
I'll second it.
Janine seconds. All in favor? Raise your hand so we can see. Wonderful. Thank you. The minutes of the previous meeting are accepted. Okay, we have a very good and wonderful guest this evening who is going to tell us about stuff that we're really interested in. Maria, welcome, and please tell everybody why you're here, tell everybody who you are, and then tell us what we need to know.
Sure. Thank you so much, Jane, for that introduction. For folks who don't know me, I'm Maria Capriola. I'm the Chief of Shared Services and Administration for the town of Mansfield. As with many organizations our size, I do wear many hats. So in addition to serving as the Deputy Town Manager, I also serve as the HR Director for the town. I've been with the town in a number of capacities on and off as far back as 2002. So I'm sure some folks probably recognize me or have seen my name before. I primarily am responsible for managing and overseeing our administrative departments, particularly those that we share services with the Board of Education. So I'm overseeing finance, information technology, facilities, in addition to the HR function. The way we are structured with HR with the Board of Education, there are certain pieces of human resources that we do share. So employee benefits and risk management, those were created as shared services back in the 1990s. When it comes to recruitment, negotiating contracts with the labor groups, the Board of Ed does do that separately. But I do provide, technical assistance as requested for that from time to time. Jane and I were chatting a few weeks back, and she had shared, I believe, that this group had spoken, I think previously with Lee Palmer, I believe, who was our interim HR director prior to me coming back to Mansfield in 2023, about a project that we had in the pipeline, and it was a DEI organizational assessment. So I'm going to pull up, I have just a few slides that are kind of talking points, and thought I could just quickly go over the summary of what that assessment entailed and the findings that we had from that. Okay, and Monica, am I able to share screen?
Yep, you should be able to.
Great, okay. All right, and can folks see that okay?
Mhm.
I just need to move this so I can get to the slide deck for you. There we go. All right. So we conducted the assessment in May of June of 2024, and we debriefed and received the reports during the summertime. The DEI organizational assessment was conducted by an outside vendor, Daniel Penn Associates. They were a vendor who we picked through a regional bid procurement process that our Capital Region Council of Governments had engaged in. They were seeking a vendor who could provide various DEI services such as training and organizational assessments. So we selected our vendor through that process. And for this particular project, and with our budgetary constraints, we thought a good starting point would be to survey the town's leadership team. And that consisted of our executive leadership team members, our department heads, our assistant department heads, division heads, as well as some of our managers. And we were very fortunate. It was voluntary to participate, and we had an 85% participation rate, which I thought was really quite excellent. And the responses for our participants were anonymous. So for the executive summary, some of the key components of our culture that came through the organizational assessment is they said that our culture has a strong empathy, and that our staff have comfort with diversity, and that there was a very strong shared value of compassion amongst our staff members. They also found that there was a keen interest amongst our staff members in personal growth, and that our staff members who participated felt that we were a supportive and inclusive work environment. So some of the strengths from this particular assessment is they said when comparing us against their benchmarks, we were exceeding all other benchmark measures. And that's a strength of that was that it really does contribute to better teamwork amongst our team members. Again, that they found our staff members felt that we had inclusive decision-making, support continuous learning and development, and that there were high levels of employee engagement and retention. Some of the challenges and opportunities that the survey yielded was that our staff felt that there was a lack of civility and respect from the general public and some of our volunteer and elected officials at times. This is really a national trend, and it's something that we've discussed quite a bit. Ryan and I will typically attend the National Town and City Managers Conference and Association. And for the last several years, there have often been a lot of sessions around this issue. Again, sort of a nationwide trend that a lot of us professional managers are trying to kind of get our arms around. And oftentimes, right, it's trying to provide, training and support to our staff as well as our elected officials. Another interesting area as an opportunity was working to improve psychological safety and any communication apprehension staff members may have. And for folks who aren't familiar with the psychological safety term, HR professionals, it's kind of right, our lingo. And I thought this was just a really good sort of quick snapshot from the American Psychological Association, is that it's really referring to your employees' ability to freely express their opinions at work without fear. And that just might be an area of growth for us. So again, the key strengths that they highlighted, again, were that capacity of empathy within our organization, maximizing the value of diversity, that compassion is a shared value, and that there was just such a strong desire from our staff to learn and grow. And then we did have a handful of action opportunities, and they thought that one would be us trying to work on promoting behaviors that demonstrate respect and professionalism towards our staff members. Working towards addressing real and perceived bias, again, enhancing overall psychological safety, and enhancing supportive communication and demonstration of empathy. So some of the takeaways we've had from this are some training opportunities that we have some staff members and workshops that staff members have been attending and will be going to. And in terms of the supportive communication, there were some components that we had already sort of readopted, some practices that had existed that maybe had fallen by the wayside during some transition time. So an example of that was that they had recommended a peer mentor program. And that was something that was an old tradition that we brought back, where when we have a new department head, we assign a more tenured, sort of seasoned department head as their peer mentor as an additional support system for that person. So we've been really looking for, again, additional ways internally that we can support, enhance communication amongst the team members. So those were the action opportunities that we have been working on as a result of that. We do have some additional funds in the current year budget for some training. That could be for elected officials, it could be for advisory committees, it could be for staff members, it could be for a little, bit of both, working within our budgetary constraints. So that's something else I anticipate that we'll be working on this spring. All right. And that's our summary of the assessment.
Okay, the thing that strikes me first is I'd like to know if you have any metrics to support the asserted strengths that you listed there. It sounds like this was a qualitative interaction with all people. You asked them what they thought and they told you. But do you have any behavioral metrics? Numbers?
Yeah, so The survey included a series of questions as well as open-ended comments that people could include. So some of it was data-driven in terms of the responses that the vendor pulled together to provide these takeaways for us. And other times it was qualitative comments that they had gathered.
Because the first thing that hits me is your action area items, the things that need to be worked on are they're exactly the same as the strengths, which means one or the other of those is not as accurate as we would like it to be.
Yeah, so Jane,
Measure
as I
empathy.
mentioned,
How do you measure psychological safety? How do you know that the employees do or do not have bias toward differences? There's not enough substance there from what you just said, and I'm sure you have it in your background information, but I need to know more.
yeah, and so again, one of the things that the vendor did emphasize with us was that we far exceeded benchmark, and so it was overwhelmingly, again, from the team that we surveyed, it was overwhelmingly, sort of positive feedback. But right, we can always improve on things, even things that we're trending well or doing well, right? We can always seek continuous improvement, which again, I think comes back to that cultural value that they picked up on very early on with surveying our staff members. Yeah.
Yeah, other people, please, if you have other comments or observations or questions.
Maria, this is Ray Fracano. You said you had an action opportunities. Did you actually put out an action plan? I know some of the vendors we hire, they'll go through a process like you've done, but they end the process with an actual action plan as opposed to just action opportunities.
Yep.
Yes, they had provided us some suggestions. Yep.
There an actual plan that's going to be adopted or developed or?
Yeah, so they had provided within those action items some suggested steps or items that we could pursue. So we are working off of that list.
Okay.
Good question.
I have another question. Are you open to additional vendors? Because the one thing that we have done that I think might integrate with what you're trying to do is the workshop we ran on what we call nonviolent communication. I'm not sure that's the best term, but we ran a workshop on how to have difficult conversations with an outstanding facilitator who is not super duper expensive. And I would love to see her come back because she can really teach people if you have to talk about something you don't want to talk about, here's how to do it so that we all realize what we have in common. So are you open to additional training people or are you committed to this one person and that's all?
Yeah, absolutely. Particularly we're always looking for, trainers that folks have had, good success with. And generally speaking, if a trainer falls under our procurement policy threshold, we don't need to seek a, competitive, sort of RFP or RFQ. If it's something that's sort of like low cost. Yeah, so no, definitely. If you
She's
have
already been approved because
suggestions.
she worked for us and we
Correct,
did the big
correct.
hustle to get everything done properly. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll send you a note and give you the
Yeah, please
details.
do.
Thank you. Other comments, thoughts? Okay.
Great.
Maria, thank you very much. I am very happy to know that the town is doing this long as it takes to make you feel like you're moving the needle. Debbie, you have a question?
Yes, thank you. I was just having trouble getting off mute. Maria, I think you said there was an 85% participation rate. Do you have any sense why it wasn't 100%?
I don't. We did, try our best to pick a time of the year
Nice.
where you're going to grab our sort of our largest number of staff members and surveying them prior to taking off for the vacation season.
Sure. Okay.
And we did send
probably
a number of reminders and things of that nature. But generally, I also assist with some other things such as, performance reviews for different, boards that we help support. And whenever I usually hit about 85% participation rate, I get pretty
No, that is very good. Yeah,
yeah.
that makes sense. People might have had a prior commitment or vacation plans or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, that's amazingly good for a volunteer.
I
process.
thought so too, which again,
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
does somewhat speak to the comfort. And again, we did want to ensure anonymity with the process, which is why we used an outside vendor. But I do think that somewhat speaks to the comfort level that folks, feel with, sharing and expressing their opinions and just being engaged.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Your comments, thoughts? All right, thank you very much for coming.
You're
We
so
appreciate
welcome.
it.
Yeah,
Nice
nice to see you all. Thank you for having me.
take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Okay, next item on the agenda is something that I didn't realize until 2 days ago, and it presents us with a logistical problem. We have to have, my term as chair of this commission is expiring. And I did not realize that. And we need to elect a chair and a vice chair. And we need to do it tonight. So we have a couple of situations. I have a whole bunch of stuff to do in January that I have been requested to do. So whether or not I'm the chair, I would like to do these little presentations, attend Ray and Debbie's affordable housing meeting and some other things. So that's one issue. And the second issue is there hasn't been any transition time in the event that I am not the continuing chair. So we just need to think about that. Oh, and the third thing is this is not a secret ballot, so I don't know if that's and I think we ought to ask everybody before we do anything, do you want a secret ballot? Talk to me.
I don't think, for me, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Okay, well, that's the sense I'm getting. Okay. All right, well, here's the first thing. I do not wish to be reelected as chair of this commission for another 2-year term. A, and B, I would be very happy to be elected as vice chair, which was the role I previously held, if anybody wants me, but we need to do chair first. So I would like to, yeah, Monica,
Just
help
want to
me.
clarify, we will be doing this every year and you all can do, like, if Jane did want to be reelected, she can be reelected. Our charge does not have a limit on the chair. To my knowledge, you can have it as long as you're, elected by the commission. But yes, we do need to do this in the first meeting of
Yes, and so
our,
now we know, and since we're so new, and I was trying to remember what we'd done in the past, and what we had was the first chair who founded this commission, and then when he moved out of town, we had me. But I don't think we ever had a sense of when things needed to be done. So this is the first time we're doing this in an organized and official way. So I have made my, I do not wish to be considered for chair of this commission, and I would like to know who else would be like to be chair of the commission, knowing that this is not a lot of notice to think about it.
Monica, do you want to accept nominations from the floor?
Yeah, excuse me, that's the right way to say it. I would
yes,
accept
yeah,
nominations.
so we'll, just like, you would, I think we'll probably follow Robert's rules. We'll have a nomination, a second, and then you can nominate yourself. And then we vote on.
Okay. So nominations are now open for chair of the Human Rights Commission.
I would like to nominate Janine.
Janine would like to
Person?
decline. If shaking her head is a good indicator and a horrible look on her face. Parenthetically, Barbara.
I'd like to nominate Davida.
Davida isn't a
Is she-
member yet,
Not
but
a
I.
member.
Oh, she's not? Oh,
Not yet.
okay.
But wait a minute, let's find out what the status of all this is, because this is such a short notice thing. Monica? Our technical expert?
Yes,
Can Davida be nominated and then take office in February?
no, I don't know. I think. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. What we could do is if we want to push this till the end, I can try and find where it is in the charter. The other thing that we could try to push this till February. I don't know if it's in the charter that it has to be the first meeting of the year, though.
To be
Wow.
honest, I would feel more comfortable having spent some time with this commission before I stepped in and took over like that.
Understood.
Okay, well, Monica, I'd like you to try to figure this out, but Davida, I respect your desire to kind of understand how things work. So we do not have any nominations on the floor.
Well, we
Are
have, well, do nominations have to be seconded? Oh,
Yes, they do.
no one wants a second, Janine?
Janine has indicated a desire. Well, Janine, you can speak for yourself. Go ahead.
You're doing fine, Jane. Um, I mean, it's fine. Thank you, Ray. I'm the behind the scenes type of person. I would have no clue what to do. What
Are you declining?
I'll put it to you this way: if no one else is their hat in the ring, then I will step up to bat so we can keep things flowing.
Okay. Second nomination of Janine, please.
Second it.
Debbie is seconding Janine. Okay. Are there any other nominations for chair? Seeing none. All in favor of Janine being the new chair of the Human Rights Commission, indicate by raising your hand. Opposed? Congratulations, Janine. I will tell you everything you need to know and give you all the stuff that's in my closet. Congratulations and thank you very much. Okay.
And
Now-
Janine, we'll connect too. I'll give you a call either tomorrow or next week, and we can kind of figure out where to go from here.
Okay.
And next year we'll have transition time, but this year you're rising to the challenge. Okay, nominations are now open for vice chair. I would like to nominate, oh, Barbara, go ahead.
Well,
Could I nominate you, Jane?
I would appreciate that.
Okay, I'd like to nominate Jane for vice chair.
I'll second it.
Great seconds. Are there any other nominations for vice chair? This isn't a high competition thing. All right, all right, nominations are closed. All in favor of me being vice chair, please indicate by raising your hand. Opposed? Thank you very much. The new order of people in charge is Janine is chair and I am vice chair. And we have avoided all difficulties associated with short notice. Okay, Janine, you and I will set up a time to talk and we'll do the transition and it'll be fine and I'll make coffee.
Oh, okay.
Not
Well-
to be frustrating here, but I think Janine now has to take over the meeting.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
That's the part, I thought that's nasty.
I'm so I can just tell you what's next, and then, or if you want to do it together, kind of co-do it for
Can we
the.
co-do it?
Yes,
Because I've got the
I'm
list of
doing-
what we need to talk about next and she does not.
Yes,
Yeah, you
okay.
can delegate it to the vice chair. You can delegate running the meeting to the vice chair.
Yes, you can definitely do that. So it can be delegated today to Jane.
Yes, I delegated to Jane for today.
Okay. The next thing, another big surprise that came into my life was that we are making a report to the town council on the work of the Human Rights Commission over the last more or less year and a half. When I sat down and reviewed all the minutes, I was very impressed. So I made a list of everything I think we've done, or everything I know we've done, and then, but I wanted to be sure I didn't forget anything important. So I've divided, here's how I did it. The first thing we did was we adopted a theme of community and inclusion as our focal point. Out of that, we created a logo, stickers, buttons, and a brochure, which we distributed widely throughout the town. And I went and talked to all the head of the library, the head of all the schools, and Peter Dart. We have also, we meaning me, contributed a column to the town newsletter on various elements of the United Nations definition of human right or Declaration of Human Rights. And I've been writing about that little 150 word things on our newsletter every couple of months. So that's what we did to let everybody know we were here. We have participated in the Welcome to Mansfield event twice in 2 successive Septembers. The first year we did the Happy to Say Hello campaign, which went with the stickers and the brochures and everything. And the second year we did let me see, second year. Oh, the second year, we did a big poster at the Welcome to Mansfield thing about what human rights were, talked to people and did an informal poll on which human rights people who talked to us that were important. I have that information, and education was the top priority and freedom from discrimination was the second priority for people who came to the Welcome to Mansfield. We participated in 1 or 2 winter welcomes. And we asked people, what holidays do you celebrate? And we tried to make our presence there focal on winter and multiple people attending, not just a Christmas holiday. After 2 years of making an effort to make the winter welcome more than a Christmas holiday, we did not participate this year, period. So we did our multicultural thing twice, and then this year we didn't do it. In that process, Janine and Barbara created some snowflake activities and a peace quilt that kids were drawing on, answering questions about human rights. What do human rights mean to you? What does peace look like to you? And I have a picture of that quilt. We conducted two organized public programs. One was an interfaith dialogue and the other one was the nonviolent communication workshop, which was a result of the interfaith dialogue because people wanted to know more about how to talk to each other in difficult situations. We also participated in Pride Month and the Juneteenth ceremonies, and we created posters and spread those around town. We collaborated with the Sustainable CT effort, and we met with the leaders of that, and we're still in the process of trying to figure out how we can contribute to Sustainable CT from the point of view of underserved communities. And we ran a number of events at the library, particularly Janine did these, where she is doing crafts activities with little children and talking about human rights with them and their parents. And Janine has also attended 2 film showings at the library, Killers of the Flower Moon and American Fiction, both of which have something to do with human rights. And she has participated in discussions with people who attend those film viewings on the nature of human rights and how they come up in the in the movies that they saw. That is what we have done in the last 2 years, which really amazes me when I sit down and think about it. That's a lot of stuff. And they asked me for PowerPoint, so I'm in the process of doing that. I'm going to have pictures of the quilt and our posters and all that kind of stuff. What did I forget? Did we do more than that?
Affordable housing collaboration.
Thank you. Wow. And you know what? It's on here and I didn't, wow. Yes, that's very important. And that's coming up and that's a public event.
January 29th. Mhm.
Yep.
We're in the process of trying to get a member from E.O. Smith. So we're liaisoning with E.O. Smith to be,
Now, is that going to, Ray, is that going to be a regular member? Because the last time we had high school people, we also had something that wasn't called interns, but that's what it was. But this, are we going to designate a spot for
I
Smith?
believe we specifically said it would be a member.
Okay, designated E.O. Smith. And have you met with that student?
No, we're still in the process.
Okay. And we have acknowledged the need for age diversity in this group.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much on the affordable housing. I had it and then I don't know where it disappeared to. Anything else?
If we attended trainings, I know Janine and I attended trainings from different organizations. Would you want to make that part of this?
Yeah. Can you write down what I know Janine has sent me a couple of things. Ray, can you write down? I went to one of those trainings too, didn't I? The one about enforcement.
Yeah, the CHRO one. Yeah, I can write that. I'll write that up for you.
Just send it to me and I'll stick it in the PowerPoint. I have no idea how long this presentation is going to be. So I'll put in as much as I have room for, but I think.
Like for example, I joined PFLAG just to be like keep my finger on that pulse. So I was specific.
Did you find out where they're meeting?
Yep. So I'll send you something tomorrow morning.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. I have about a week to put this all together, so you have time, but thank you very much.
I will.
Okay. Anything else that we have done? It's really surprising when you look back at it. I was very pleased. Okay. Community meetings text for poster. This is Grace, who is not yet a member's responsibility. So Grace, what have you got for us?
Yeah, so I wanted to first apologize for how sort of like the format that I did this in. Just I've been trying to finish applying for a PhD program, and the deadline is next week, so everything's just sort of fallen down on me. But in general, I sort of just thought that the poster should probably one of the most important things is that it contains our goals, because I know that the sort of mission statement of the commission talks about all 6 of our goals that we have as a commission. So just letting that, and it's good that they're pretty concise, just letting that be clear as one of the things on the poster. But also sort of just discussing like what we really mean by human rights, because a lot of people think it's sort of like an arbitrary international, like array of random things that may occur to you at any time, but it is actually like set out in, as we've said, the UDHR. So maybe just stating a couple of those would probably be good, like the human right to education, human right to, I have them written down here. But
I've got them all in that poster that we use at Welcome to Mansfield, and I know what the people cared about the most, and those
Right.
freedom from discrimination, but there were a lot of other things, so I can put that together.
Yeah, definitely. I think maybe just having somewhere where they're clearly stated, because I know the UDHR goes into different articles and there's subsections of articles, and people just
Right.
get overwhelmed when they read it as a document. So sort of condensing that would probably be good. And also just sort of like maybe discussing, I had on here as a blip, sort of why are human rights important to you? Just to have people getting to think about as I said, these are sort of, people consider them as abstract international concepts, but they really do apply, as we all know, in our everyday lives everywhere, So I think that getting people to think about how it applies to them, even if they aren't necessarily members of, marginalized identities, how do human rights make it so that you can continue to have a job or you can continue to earn your retirement and things like that? And that was pretty much what I came up with. Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's a real good start. And as I said, Margaret is the one that makes posters. All we need to do is give her the text. This is a good start. One of the other things that I thought about with this, we're beginning a series of what we hope will be public meetings and inviting people to come talk about human rights in Mansfield. And everything I have read lately about what people are preparing for the next era of the United States and its cultural environment, is that strong communities are incredibly important. That people need to talk to each other, feel comfortable with each other, and know how to work together to solve problems. That's the most important thing we can all do, and that is the thing we're in a position to do right now. So I see these meetings as one way to begin that process, to have people who don't know each other talk to each other about what matters to them about living in Mansfield. So I really hope we're going to do this. And I'll take your ideas and anybody else's ideas and talk to Margaret about them, and we'll see what we can do, because we still have to designate times and places. And we should have like maybe 3 of these and see where it goes. So thank you. And I wish you, where are you applying to for your doctorate?
Oh, Clark in Worcester. Yeah.
Very
I'm
good
doing
place.
the Genocide Studies program. So it'll be
Oh, that's
Oh,
amazing, Grace.
wow.
Good for
Yeah.
you.
Go
Thank
for it.
Absolutely.
Well, you got to tell us when you know. And when do they decide?
I think I hear back by early March, and
Okay, good.
so it'll be a while.
Good. Okay. Thank you. Davida, did you have something you wanted to say?
So I reached out to the woman who's the director of the Human Rights Institute at UConn, and she never got back to me. And I contacted her over a month ago. So giving her the benefit of the doubt that it was over holiday time and intercession time, I thought next week I would try her again and see if I can't get a response from her. I mean, to be honest, they are mostly about scholarly activities around human rights and mostly a global perspective. They tend not to look at human rights on the ground or human rights in the United States. So I'll give it, I'll keep trying with her. I'm a little surprised that there was no response at all.
Yeah, you know what? We do this little news column every couple of months, and Margaret knows the deadlines. Maybe you could write the next one. And you can write about anything you want. What I've done is taken either an event, when we had the noose event, I wrote about why nooses are always terrifying. But other than that, I just pick one of the rights that's designated and say, this is why it's important. One column about why we did the difficult conversations workshop. So maybe if you'd be willing to do that, that would be helpful, because if UConn doesn't want to collaborate, we'll just go ahead.
Don't forget this year, the UNCHR proclaimed that this year's theme is peace and trust. It's a big theme this year.
That's peace and trust. Okay,
Peace and trust.
that needs to go on our poster.
And also, Davida, I just had a question. Who is the person that you tried to contact? Was it Alyssa Webb at the Human Rights Institute?
Kathy Lieball.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm not sure if Kathy might not be like, the problem with the Human Rights Institute is sometimes they literally leave the country, and then it's very hard to do research, but it's hard to get in contact.
But that's why I thought I would try again, you know,
Right.
just
You
to,
should-
on
I
the
think-
assumption that she may have left the country to do some
Right.
research, or it was intercession and she didn't check her email, which a lot
Right.
of us try to do. I will try her again.
Yeah, because I had gotten into contact with the academic advisor for human rights students, because she's writing me like a letter of recommendation, and it also like it sent me an email that was like, I'm out of office, but I
Right,
finally
right.
got into
Yeah, that
contact
I
with her.
didn't get. I didn't get an out of office.
Yeah.
That's usually an automatic thing
Yes,
if they've
yeah,
posted that, but I didn't get that.
right.
We'll try again. We'll see what happens.
Okay, yeah, we'll keep working on it. All right, text for posting. Affordable housing update. This is exciting. Ray or Debbie, who wants to do the update on the affordable housing?
Debbie's been at the last meeting, but we're ready to go, I think. It's
Yes,
April,
we sent you the final proposal, and we're just still working on the group discussion and seating arrangement and that type of thing. But Michael emailed you, Jane, so you saw everything that was in the agenda. So we just wanted to share that with you and see if, you give your stamp of approval for it.
Okay, I liked it very much because it is a little bit of information, a little bit of charts, a little bit of people talking to each other.
right.
And that's a very good way to run a meeting.
Yeah, that's what I
and
really
engage
tried to make it. When I was working with Michael, my part was really from more of a teaching, not to give, use a lot of PowerPoints, a lot of talking at people, but to have more interaction and people.
Absolutely. And when I
asking
saw that, I thought, oh, good, they got it right. I was very pleased with
Good,
that.
okay.
And the
Okay.
charts in the beginning, I'm reading them thinking, I'm never going to remember all that stuff. How can I remember all that stuff? The one that is going to be the PowerPoint is greatly simplified and it's
Right.
comprehensible to people. And people really know what affordable housing, need to know what it is, how you apply for it, what people's status is in the town of Mansfield, and that's all they need to know. There's nothing else to tell, and who's in charge, which is mostly not us.
Right. Right.
And that's going to be a big surprise, but I think I like how you structured the meeting very much.
Deb, can I have a copy of that now?
Deb, can you put Michael's contact information in the chat? Do you have it?
Yes, I will. Mhm.
Thank you. And just write to Michael and he'll send it to you, because if you register for the meeting, they send you all the
Right.
charts and all the material, and I have it. All right, so I'm assuming it sounds like people haven't read it, but I've read it and I like it. And Ray, have you got any?
I think
They
it's
want me to
great. I
talk at the
think it's really
beginning?
good.
I liked it very much. Do you want me to, what do you want me to say at the beginning? Welcome, and housing is a human right, and that's about it?
Well, yeah, just kind of, my thoughts were when we first doing this is, we were gonna have a bigger input, but the reality is we don't have, most of the input is gonna be on the Affordable Housing Committee. So just kind of the joint idea that this, because the reality is it's affordable housing is not a right. So it's kind of, it's hard to put it in our basket. So
You know what?
the idea that we're here to listen to people that are disenfranchised.
Everyone has a right to property, having a home, having a place to be. That's your human right. Affordable housing, yeah, that's something different, but everyone has the right to be in a safe place, in a secure place.
Access to it if they can afford it.
Right.
There's no right to, if you can't, there's no right to housing for
How
anyone.
you get there is a totally different story, but you do have a right to own.
Okay, I have come up with a distinction that I think will be helpful. There are legal rights and there are aspirational rights. The UN document is an aspirational
Mhm.
document. Countries embedded in their laws. In the United States, we apparently don't have a lot of legally embedded human rights.
You do not.
We are here
didn't-
because of the aspirational
yes.
rights of the UN document. So I think we need to distinguish between those two things because, Ray, I get so discouraged when you tell people you don't have a right to housing. How would you like to live in the street? No, we would not. So we have to find some way to talk about it that allows people to feel like there's hope for them to have a place to live that's decent.
You know, I think we need, and I think that, Gene, I was gonna talk about this later on, but I think I'm so glad you came up with that word because to me, it's so frustrating. Because when we had that, the meeting for the nonviolent communication, some of my friends were at that meeting and they said, why are we talking about the UN Charter? Why do we have to, where's the American documents? Where's any American document that shows the human rights that we're talking about? And they're really not there. And it frustrates me that I know that it seems like the only document you can point to is either the Bible or this UN, thing, or the Quran or whatever. And that, this for me has been really frustrating. And for you to identify it as being aspirational as a kind of a moral thing, that really makes me.
Yeah, I think that's really what it is.
I think it makes me feel a lot better just if we can just make that clear.
Okay, I'm very happy to do that. Because, I mean, I don't think there's a place in the world where everybody says, well, no, there are some places where people don't have the right to live any place but in the street. But
Oh, there's 4 countries that do have right to house.
those places. Okay, that's how we're going to talk about it then.
Aspirational, that's a great word.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, and I actually can use a little bit of my education here. I'm not sure. Wow, finally. I'm not sure if I've explained this or if I'm sure that you guys have learned about like United Nations soft laws versus United Nations hard laws.
I don't know a thing about it. Tell me
Okay,
quickly.
I'll tell you quickly. So basically United Nations treaties have to be signed and ratified
Right.
in order to be hard laws, which means that the country, I'm pretty sure it means the country has to write into their national legislature documents, laws, etc., whatever they've agreed to. So like there's a convention called Convention on the Rights of the Child, and
Right.
it says things like protecting children from child labor,
Right.
basically. So
They
in order,
didn't, yeah,
yeah, and
yeah,
so
they broke it up. You have your preamble and then you have your 2 covenants. And the US, woo, did not ratify a lot of the things, including
Right.
women's rights, education, and children. They did
Okay,
not
right
ratify
right in
the
line with
cultural,
what we are.
pardon?
Never mind, I shouldn't say it.
No, they didn't ratify educational, social, and cultural. They did not
Yeah.
ratify that. Once it's ratified, they're bound by it. They put that into their laws. That's where I got that certificate. I took it upon myself and became a certified human rights consultant.
yeah,
And it was mind blowing. It was like,
right,
oh my goodness, I did not realize that. So
right.
yeah, there's rights and then there's responsibilities. And then
Part of the problem is those documents and covenants and treaties and conventions that come out of the United Nations are unenforceable. There's no teeth behind them. There's
Right.
no way that the UN enforces it if a country
Right.
goes that far and actually has it in their legislative documents.
Right.
There's no way to hold them accountable if they don't actually translate that into practice, and that's the rub.
Right.
Very
So,
good to know that. So the hard laws come from treaties that were signed and then the country is supposed to put them into their legal system in their own country. And
Ratified.
soft laws are Aspirational.
Soft laws are, yeah. So basically, the United Nations is aware that there's no international police force. So there's no way to enter into a country and arrest the leaders in any real, because jurisdiction exists. And the United Nations likes to say that they want countries to try their own leaders for violations before they step in. But I actually have the only two conventions that are signed, but are technically not even ratified by the United States because we didn't change the US Constitution, which is our national human rights document, which means we just signed it, just to say that we signed it, is the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination. And as we know, that doesn't, I mean, there's still racial discrimination that exists. So we haven't done anything about that despite signing it. And also the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights.
Right.
And also there's the Convention Against Torture that we've signed, but we have actually been indicted by the International Criminal Court as performing in torture during Afghanistan. So the soft law, and the reason that soft laws exist, the UDHR is a perfect example of a soft law, exactly as we were saying, it's aspirational. So it's a standard that every single country needs to sort of try to follow, but as we know, there's no police force that's going to arrest you for not following it. So it's really hard when we think about it in these international terms because the United States is supposedly, the golden place. People come here and they can be free, but we're not really free,
Well, good to know. I'm becoming painfully aware of that right now. Janine, I want to go do some of those courses you've done. It's time.
For anyone and everyone, that what I did was there was fees for that. But there's one, if you go on Amnesty International, it's free and you get like the certificate of participation, but it breaks down a lot of human rights. It gives you like some ideas of, how to instill it into like an educational, is it informal, formal, non-formal type of thing. Amnesty International, it's free. You can just pull it up, and I'm doing one and it's like 3 hours. The other one, they broke it down in different ones. The one that I did, which is basic human rights, but then they had human trafficking, they had business, they had this, and I'm like, I can't do human trafficking because I would want to hurt the person that instilled that trafficking. So I can't do that. But it blew my mind, gave me more of I need to, because I was getting shaky there. I'm like, this is no. But now it's kind of like, no, I need to do this. But it is very eye-opening.
Definitely.
One of the things I have realized in the last couple of weeks is this committee is probably the only town committee that doesn't have a preset agenda. We have had to invent ourselves. And I think we're just in the process of doing the next step, which is inviting people who have studied this stuff to educate us and then finding out where we can educate ourselves. And then we will get a clearer idea of what's possible to do and what's worth doing around here. And it's a slow process and we need to just keep working on it. So thank you for doing the additional training. I'm going to do one of those myself, I think. Between the election and the holidays, I didn't do anything, and being sick for a month, I didn't do anything, but I'm back. I'm here. Okay, good.
I just want to mention one more thing, because I like you say, this has been, the more I go into this, because I was really going to talk about this more. The whole idea that people think we have such wonderful systems and whatnot. That's why I like that word aspirational. But I was thinking in terms of like there's 30 people in Gitmo that are still in Cuba.
Yeah.
2008. Think about that. 2008, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that those people had a right to a writ of habeas corpus, which means they have a right to a hearing. No one's ever exercised that right. So whoever's in charge has completely ignored that. So there's definitely a dark underbelly in this country of systemic racism and all kinds of things. And I think we have to, as we move forward, realize that.
I think it's time for lots of you to start writing things And I don't know where we want to put it. I'm enjoying writing on Facebook. It's not official, but boy, do a lot of people read it. And we've got a Mansfield Community Connection. So if you have something like what you just said, Ray, that you want to share with everybody just for your information, discovered by the Human Rights Commission, here's what we just found out. It's not official, it's just FYI. I think anybody can do that, and I would be really delighted if anybody would. And if you want to co-write it or you want me to edit for you, I'll be happy to do that because God knows I know how to do that. Because we need more PR and everybody here is perfectly capable of doing that. So let's do it. It's a small town. We can do this.
Jane, may I just ask you, or Grace, you might have this information, or Janine, and I should know this, I just can't remember now. With the Human Rights in General Declaration, is it, does anything address, freedom for, to express one's sexual identity, gender identity,
No.
expression?
It is in one of the articles, you could be who you want
It
to
is.
be.
Okay.
It's, you have to look at it how it's worded,
Right.
but
Okay.
you have the right to be who you want to be.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think
Thank you.
you can infer it from a lot of them.
Yeah.
Sure. That's what
Liberty
I
of your
thought.
personal security,
Right.
right to recognition as a person.
Right, good, okay. So
Um,
I might be, I would be willing to write something, Jane, about that because
Oh,
our
that's wonderful.
church
Please.
has, just recently, we got an email that was addressed to the church with, hateful slurs toward our two music directors. And last year we had our rainbow flag stolen many times and we were in the news on that. So that might be
That would be great,
something
Debbie.
to
By the way,
talk.
your pride flag has fallen down. I drove past there twice.
I
today.
know, I contacted someone when I left the office. It's because of the wind,
Oh,
yeah.
I know
We
it is.
just
I know it
we
is.
just put up a new flag stand and really secured it well, but the wind just knocked it down, yeah.
Okay, well, if you could do that, and then does anybody object to putting stuff? I don't know, it can't be quote unquote political, but you can say for your information, we have discovered, you may be interested in knowing.
Yeah.
There's
yeah.
always letters to the editor, but I think Facebook, at least for the moment, is as broad an audience as you're gonna get.
Just a reminder on that though, it cannot be like, as a member of the Human Rights Commission, this is what I am saying. It can be,
Okay, okay.
yeah,
Just
Just
say
have to
for your
be-
information, there are some issues that we would like to inform people about, or I would like to inform people about.
Mhm.
You don't even have to identify yourself, except by your name. Because what our basic mission is public education about human
Sure,
rights. So I
yeah,
think we can
right,
do that in a
right.
lot of different ways.
Mhm.
Okay. We've been doing a lot of member reports, but has anybody else got anything? Has anybody else been doing anything that you would like to share?
I finally got in to the after school program today. I went
Oh,
today.
what are you going to do?
Today was kind of like a testing the waters and feeling out the kids. I know that sounds weird, but I needed to figure out what those kids are like. And I recognized some of them and like, this one's going to be a zinger.
At the elementary school, right?
Right, at the elementary school. I had sent emails to the principal, to all the different principals, and to the superintendents, and never any response. And I almost gave up. And I thought, because I still want to do that cloth quilt, the paper one, I want that cloth one, representing the children, because children also have human rights. And I'm thinking if adults can see human rights with the kids, then maybe they'll, maybe someone will open up their eyes. So I went there today, and I worked it out that I was their guest. I remember what you had said, with the library. If we're guests, we don't have to do all of that extra. So I was a guest. And then today we talked a little bit about, who I was there, who I was, why I was there, and just kind of like putting a spin a little bit about human rights. I don't want to go full throttle on them because they're, elementary school. But I start off with something like, so when you woke up this morning, where did you wake up? Did you wake up outside or inside? And they kind of look at you. Like, just where did you wake up? Well, inside, of course. I'm like, okay. I don't touch on it. I just get them talking, And did you have somewhere to go today? Well, yeah, we got to go to school. Okay, you got to go to school. Did you do anything to get ready for school? I kept building it up, building it up, and building up. And I said, did you know that you've touched on a lot of your human rights already? Like, I'm like, you have a right to be in a safe place, in a place where you can call home. You have a right to nutritional, food. You have a right to an education. You have a right to clothing. I said, but what if I came in here and said, I'm going to take away your right to read? You can't have any education. And a couple of kids, he's like, well, that would be fun. I said, yeah, but just think of all those video games that you won't be able to do anymore because you can't read or look at anything. So I got my foot in the door, and hopefully I'll be able to go there once a week and we do an activity. I let them cut snowflakes. I talked about this, the snowflakes, like how we're like snowflakes, were the same. We're made up of the same thing, but we look different. And then next week, I think I'll do something like maybe 5 different types of human rights, and we'll match them up. Like this picture, if you look at the UNDHR, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Elix or something like that, ELYX. It's this little figurine that they have, and he has like certain poses for each article of the human right. So I printed out a couple of things, and I'm going to have them match it up. Like the person is just kind of like walking down the street. He looks safe. He looks like he's comfortable where he is. That will be life, liberty, and security of person. So have them match it up. So it's games, maybe a little activities, and then have them work on, they all seem to be crafty, and they were interested in doing that quilt. So little baby steps, but I got my foot in the door fine.
But you are so good with little kids. That's wonderful, because that wouldn't even occur to me. I mean, I only start with people at age 18, so this is wonderful. Nice job. Nice job. Okay. Anybody else do any other projects or visit any place or go to any training or do any of that stuff? We're just coming off the holidays. Nobody needs to feel pressured. Okay.
Oh, I just had one thing, which is,
Oh, yeah.
this is sort of just an informal thing that I've been doing. But in my last semester of college, we learned about human rights cities throughout the United States. And I've just sort of been looking into what that would mean if, like, Mansfield tried to get themselves considered a human rights city. It doesn't have to be, maybe the population has to be over a certain amount. I haven't encountered that piece of information yet. But I'm going to continue working on that and seeing what that would mean, basically. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's very interesting. Yeah, because there is the Charter for Compassion, and there are Cities of Compassion, which has a lot of overlap, but that is quite a sophisticated process at this point.
Grace, Ken Newbeck, who used to be in the sociology department here, is now in Eugene, Oregon. And when he moved out there, he just hit the ground running on their human rights stuff, and he helped push them to be a human rights city. So if you want, I'll try to contact him and see what I can find out about what they did.
That sounds great. Thank you. Okay, are there any other communications? Monica, is there anything else we need to know?
Nope, nothing else that I received.
Okay, opportunity for public comment. Aaron, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Cool. So just real quick on the Facebook post, if you don't know, you can post anonymously through the group. So only the admins know who's posting, nobody else does. So if you're worried about it being connected to where somebody might say it's your viewpoint being part of this commission, you could do it anonymously. If you're looking to reach a younger crowd, I would definitely look at TikTok or Instagram. You're going to get 35 plus and older on Facebook as far as any engagement. So just keep that in mind. And I forgot who asked about the LGBTQ plus with the UDHR, but you can look at articles 1, 2, 7, and 12 that will touch on that. But great meeting. Thank you for letting me listen in. I appreciate it.
You're welcome anytime. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay. This is exciting. I think we've kind of gotten over some other kind of hurdle that I didn't quite understand, but I think we're moving along. Grace, thank you for your sophisticated knowledge of this information. We appreciate it. And anybody else have anything to say for the good of the order? I'd like to tell you that the Yukon women are now playing basketball in case anybody's
No
interested.
score, don't tell a score.
Okay.
I'm
No score,
taking
no
it.
idea what the score is.
No.
Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
I'll
Are we-
second.
And Barbara moves, seconds to adjourn. Thank you very much. I'll see you next month.
Thank you, everyone. Great meeting.
Bye.